One of the questions I get asked often as a pastor is about discovering one's spiritual gifts and usefulness within the local church. In your years of pastoral ministry, how have you helped those who've been under your care discover, cultivate, and utilize the gifts given to them?
Yeah, there's sometimes different techniques that pastors use. I've seen pastors get the little surveys and fill out a survey, and at the end you tally up your answers, and it gives you a certain range, and that range might be that you're gifted, as a teacher, or you're gifted with, some other type of spiritual gift. But I really tend to lean against using surveys or questionnaires, to discover spiritual gifts. Oftentimes, I think we make a tragic mistake within the local church when it comes to the spiritual gifts. I think that we overly spiritualize what he's saying there. I think that we oftentimes struggle with this idea of, almost as if God himself has to speak to us out of a cloud, and say, I've called you to work with children, or I've called you to do this, or to be a deacon, or to teach the Bible. I like to talk to people when we have our new members class. In the very last class, I tend to speak about the spiritual gifts. And I talk about the fact that the local church is God's will for your life. You need to be very much involved and engaged. God did not call you to pursue membership in this church so that you would sit around and just look at everyone else serving, look at everyone else going on mission trips, and look at everyone else teaching, look at everyone else singing, and look at everyone else giving their finances to help further the vision. God's called you to get involved in those very same things. You need to be engaged. So I like to say it like this, that God doesn't call us to ecclesiastical spectatorship. He calls us to church membership. Mm-hmm. And so we're not called to be watchers. We're called to be doers of the word. But now, how does that shake out with one's spiritual giftedness? I like to say it like this. I believe that the spiritual gift or gifts, might be multiple gifts, that God gives to an individual tends to be very closely aligned with what that person enjoys, what that person finds interesting, what that person seems to be passionate about. And so they should look to their passions and to their interests, because oftentimes God calls that person to be engaged in those very areas, and he's gifting them to utilize their passions for the glory of God. We have this idea that you can't be happy and be a Christian and you can't enjoy serving God, but that is absolutely not so.